Cowboys Pregame Live is brought to you by AT&T and by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
It is week 4 of the NFL season, and for the second week in a row, the first place Dallas Cowboys will look to protect home field at AT&T Stadium as the undefeated Carolina Panthers come to town after their win over Houston last week. They'll look to complete the Texas two-step. After beating the Texans, they take on the Cowboys today. Alongside Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, I'm Kyle Yeomans here for Cowboys Pregame Live. And gentlemen, this is a top-notch defensive competition between the Cowboys and the Panthers, which I don't think anybody would have anticipated when circling this schedule or circling this game on the schedule throughout the summer. But both of these defenses can get after it.
Yeah, both of these defenses can get after it. The Carolina Panthers, they got guys that can play at each level. I'm talking defensive line, linebackers, secondary. They're loaded defensively, and these guys fly around to the football. So it's going to be a tough contest out there today. I know they don't have Christian McCaffrey, but these guys still have great offensive players out there. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, he knows how to get these guys in the right direction. So it should be a good afternoon to watch football.
Man, these defenses are going to be flying around for both teams. Obviously, I think it's going to be a reflection of their defensive coordinators. We got Mr. Phil Snow over there on the other side for the Carolina, and then we obviously have our Dan Quinn. Both of these guys are aggressive. Both of these guys like to play in-your-face type defenses, and they both preach run around and hit somebody. So we're going to see who comes out on top today.
Both offenses really kind of firing on all cylinders at the same rate. The one biggest storyline, I think, offensively is that fact that Carolina dealing without Christian McCaffrey today. But sticking with the defensive side of the football, I don't know if there's any two defenses in the NFL that have been completely revamped like the ones we're seeing this afternoon. Carolina, NFL leaders in yards allowed and in sacks, and then Dallas leading the league in takeaways. What's been the early success for both of these teams?
Well, like I said earlier, I mean, these guys on the Carolina Panthers, they got a great pass rush out. They got Burns coming off the edge. They got great defensive tackles as well. And in the secondary, I know they lost their young first-round rookie. I believe his name is J.C. Horn. They lost him for a couple weeks, but they bring back A.J. Boye. And I had a chance to play with A.J. when I was in Jacksonville. This guy is very technically sound. He's great at coverage. He's all over the field. And another thing about their secondary, their corners love to hit. They love to tackle out there. They will make you make a decision out there. So these corners are playing well. This defense is playing well. Should be a tough contest.
Yeah, they bring back Boye, but they also have Henderson. They have a new addition to their secondary. So both of these guys are on both sides for defenses are aggressive. But obviously with Carolina, and to your point, their front seven is nasty. All right, they're McNasty, and obviously they got Big Shaq Barrett right there in the middle, and he likes to hit you. Right, and they set the tone for this entire defense. It's going to be very interesting to see if these guys decide to approach us with a man coverage or zone. But we know their front seven, they get after the ball.
Cowboys defense, one of the most exciting parts about their early success through the first 3 games of the season is the youth is leading the way. Starting with Trayvon Diggs, named NFC Defensive Player of the Month, just the 3rd Cowboy all-time to receive that honor, and the first one since DeMarcus Lawrence in 2017. Barry, when you watched Trayvon Diggs, were you expecting anything close to the production he's had so far?
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't expecting that big of a jump. I mean, last year, we know he got his hands on a lot of footballs. Most of them were pass breakups. He's turned those into interceptions. Like you mentioned, Kyle, 3 interceptions in the first 3 games. That's unbelievable. Isaiah, this guy's coverage is unbelievable. I mean, he's like white on rice to these receivers, like flies on doo-doo. I mean, his coverage is extremely sticky out there, and he's one of the reasons why this defense has been able to make such a jump from mediocrity in 2020 to now 2021, leading the NFL in takeaways.
That's one way to put it.
Man, white on paper plate in the snowstorm.
Either way.
Either way. Yeah, he's playing some real sticky defense, okay? And the thing is, he's faced some of the league's best already. He did a heck of a job against Mike Evans. He had his hands full, obviously, against Keenan Allen, and he's faced, the Rager duo that they had out there in Philly last week. He's doing a great job, but I think it's what Dan Quinn is allowing him to do. He's giving him the freedom, he's giving him the confidence, and you're seeing that continue to grow from week to week.
Additionally, with the youth, Micah Parsons has been fantastic on his side, being as a pass rusher and as a linebacker. Where would you use him this week, Isaiah?
I want to see him at linebacker. The reason being, and you think the first game we had him at 58 snaps, right? Game 2 and 3, all of a sudden we throw him at defensive end, it drops down to 37, 38 snaps, right? So we're taking him away from our defense. We're literally taking him out the game. We want to see this young man on the field having an impact at the second level. Reason why? He could blitz. He can play coverage, right? He can run sideline to sideline. When you put him at defensive end, you isolate him and you simply negate him to just being able to rush off the edge.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I know this team loves him at defensive end. He's making a couple pressures, getting a couple sacks out there. But this guy at the middle linebacker, he brings that potential that you need out there. And especially in a game like this against Sam Darnold, who's not known for his escapability, not known for his mobility, we can use his coverage ability out there at the linebacker and get things started.
Yeah, youth on the defensive side of the football has been ultra impressive. But when we come back here on Cowboys Pregame Live, there's been youth on the offensive side of the ball as well. It has Terence Steele been the most pleasant surprise for the Cowboys in 2021 so far? We check in with Nick Eatman from the stadium next.
I would just say, because I'm constantly working my hands battles, so that way when they come up, if I'm at linebacker, when they come up to me, it's not I'm not used to or already prepared for. I done did it in the trenches. But honestly, me doing edge work only but makes me a better player. Yeah, that's how I look at it. Like, you know, you're just doing different things to enhance your skills. As a linebacker, you're doing a lot of handwork, and just as a D lineman, you're just doing more handwork. So it only has made me a better player.
You had a little more of a heads up this week versus the Chargers game that you were going to be playing some pass rush. What was it like preparing for that week, and how did you feel like you were against the team?
I would say it wasn't as bad. Like, you know, I really like AD in the D-line room. I like how they move things, and I had more of a rush plan. I had more of a idea what was going on in a playbook. I had more time to prepare for that game, and we was able to have a complete game plan and play call sheet. So that was pretty cool, and it was really interesting. And I felt like I had a pretty good day.
How many pass rush moves do you have at this point?
I would say I probably used like three moves. You know what I mean? I feel like you don't really need a whole arsenal. You just got to perfect 3 or 4 moves to be a good pass rusher.
How impressed are you with the speed of the defense overall?
I'm very impressed, but it's not something I didn't know already after seeing us perform in camp.
This segment is brought to you by Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
This afternoon marks the 15th all-time meeting between the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. The Cowboys have dominated all 12 of the regular season matchups with the Panthers, except for the last 2. The Cowboys won 9 of the first 10 regular season meetings with Carolina, but they have dropped the last 2 against the Panthers, and it's the first meeting at AT&T Stadium since 2015. Let's go out to Arlington, where we're now joined by Nick Eatman on the sidelines. Nick, first off, you're looking fantastic as always. How's it feel in there? Is the roof open again?
Thank you. No, Kyle, the roof is not open. The doors are, though. They got to make sure they got the air flying through here. But no, the doors are open. The roof is closed. There's a stat for that. I think the Cowboys are actually pretty good. I think I heard 8-2 this morning when that happens. I don't know if it matters at all to the team on the field. But, you know, it does matter a little bit with this airflow in here. With a little bit of wind, field goals could play a part into that. But I think for the most part, you know, the energy is good. It's good excitement here for the Cowboys. I kind of challenged the fans, though, earlier this week on one of our podcasts, just saying, hey, it's one thing to do it on a Monday night game, crowd going nuts, and you got the towels and a division rival that you hate. But come back here at noon against a Carolina team and bring that same energy and see what kind of home field advantage they really have.
And it's really an under-the-radar, undefeated Carolina team. They haven't seen the best competition yet. This is by far their toughest test. But what does this Panthers squad and Coach Matt Rule bring to the table that's going to challenge the Cowboys today?
Well, they bring speed. I mean, speed, athleticism, and toughness. That's what they bring on the defense. That's what Matt Rule brought very quickly over at Baylor, a team that's going to fight you. If we can't win this game, we'll just bring it into a fist fight. And that's the kind of mentality that they have. Now, one thing I just said about speed and athleticism, they are a little bit undersized on defense. They fly to the football. You got to give them credit for that. But if the Cowboys can figure out a way to run the ball and really kind of impose their will and play downhill, then I think that's going to kind of offset some of that athleticism and speed, and they can kind of lean on them a little bit like they did against the Eagles last Monday night. Then I think that'll really help the Cowboys move the football.
And one of the highest rated offensive linemen in terms of run blocking this year, according to Pro Football Focus, has been Terence Steele. Has he been the biggest surprise, the most pleasant surprise for the Cowboys this season so far?
Well, of course. I mean, when you're talking about, having to play him and, oh, my God, he's going to be the weak link on the right side, and they haven't really seen any kind of issues there with him. He's done a great job against Joey Bosa when they took on the Chargers. When they played against the Eagles Monday night, he did a really good job in the run game as well. He's being physical, athletic. I mean, he's one of those guys that's got quick feet, so you think he would be good as a pass blocker, but I think he's been as impressive, if not more, with his ability to run. They run behind him. They're not afraid to do that. Maybe it helps to have Zach Martin next to him, but I think Zach Martin has also said that he's looked over at times thinking that he might need some help with Terence Steele, and he hasn't really needed it. So that's a big plus.
Yeah, one of the big reasons the Cowboys have not skipped a beat without La'el Collins has been the play of Terence Steele, the second-year man out of Texas Tech. Nick, thanks so much for joining us. We'll check back in with you on the sideline later in the show. When we come back, Randy Gregory going to go up against the Dallas Cowboy, or former Dallas Cowboy today. Can he have a big day in store against Carolina?
This segment was brought to you by Ashley Home Store, the official furniture store of the Dallas Cowboys.
How well is Dak Prescott playing? Accuracy is 77%. I mean, it feels like, what do you think?
He's playing. I think he's playing his best football. This is the best I've seen him, and I'm sure he'll tell you the same. One of the biggest things I've noticed is he's getting the ball out so much faster. I wouldn't say he's more confident just because he's always been a confident player, but I think he has a better understanding of what we're trying to do as an offense. He knows his reads pre-snap, and he's able to adapt faster to a post-snap situation. So just experience, really.
The command of the line of scrimmage, get y'all in and out of plays.
Oh, he's getting us in and out extremely fast. The fastest I've been around. So, yeah.
I don't want to suggest that you needed confidence, but does that give you and the other receivers confidence in knowing how on his game he is?
Of course, just because the quarterback he controls a lot on the football team. The way he plays, he can decide a lot. So of course it gives me confidence for sure.
What have you thought about?
Cowboys pregame live, rolling along here from the Globe Life Studios at the Star in Frisco. Kyle Yeoman's back with you, now joined by a six-time Pro Bowler, Nate Newton. And Nate, we usually spend our time over here at the Guitar Pig desk just looking at the inactives. And that doesn't change again this week, as we do take a look at the guys who are unavailable today for the Dallas Cowboys. The difference in past weeks, Nate, is the fact that the list is a little bit longer this week. And you're without guys like Carlos Watkins, Dorrance Armstrong, Ty Nsekhe again, Israel Mukuamu back on the inactive list. But the biggest surprise there, I think, is Simi Fehoko, the rookie wide receiver out of Stanford. I don't know why he's inactive. That's kind of a late development.
I don't know much about this guy, man, but I do know about Carlos Watkins and Dorrance Armstrong. They're deep. They give us some depth in our rotation on the defensive line, so we're going to miss those guys, man, because that's going to stress our other guys to perform a little bit better.
Well, let's talk about that. And a couple guys missing on the defensive side of the football with Watkins, Wilson out as well, and then Keona Neal is on the COVID reserve list still after he was unavailable last week. Which of those is the biggest loss this week for the Cowboys?
Neal, without a doubt, man. Neal came in with Coach. He lines guys up. He makes sure guys stays calm. Something big happens, he's that calming factor. He can line up the safeties. He can line up the linebackers, and he's a great tackler. He makes sure things is going good, and that's what I like about this kid.
And you mentioned the defensive line as well, missing multiple pieces up front. This is a Carolina front that is a little bit susceptible. They don't have CMC to hand the ball off to in the backfield. Can this defensive line still get pressure, much like they did last week?
Yes. I mean, what you got to do here is, and I'm maybe jumping the gun, but Randy Gregory is big here. Randy Gregory, you're going against Cam Irvin. He's still the same guy. He's a little bit slimmer. He plays a little bit harder, but you can take him into deep waters, man. Test him early with an inside move, outside move, hit him with a little power. But in the fourth quarter, you should be able to make something happen against this guy. Randy Gregory should have a big day.
Off the edge, additionally, Terrell Basham really needs a nice night tonight.
Oh, definitely, man. We brought you in here, man. You're a veteran guy with a veteran presence. You've been in the wars. You know what to do. Play your gaps. Make sure you set the edge real strong, and we'll be okay.
How impressed have you been with Osa Odighizuwa, a rookie out of UCLA? He's one of the highest rated rookie pass rushers, and he's not even really a pass rusher. He's an interior defensive lineman. How impressed have you been with him?
First of all, this guy, when I saw him in training camp, I'm like, he's a defensive tackle?
Yeah.
He's a 3 technique. He wasn't big, he wasn't slobbery, he wasn't fat, but he's quick. He's technique sound. He's got a motor that goes 100 miles an hour. And you know what? He's got a few sacks. So this guy's playing well. He's doing his technique. He know how to line up. Big things should happen for this kid.
Is this showing that the depth of this defensive line is better this year than it has been in years past?
Brother, without a doubt. I mean, wait, hey, you know what? These guys, one thing I like, and you hear me say it every week, they line up, they know their assignment, they go 100 miles an hour. You know, last year we had guys that they may have knew what to do, but they didn't give 100% effort. And I hate to knock a player. I was one myself, but effort should never be an issue with the Dallas Cowboys.
You've seen plenty of effort from Randy Gregory since his return. Well, last week was his first game back after being on the COVID-19 list. You mentioned his matchup with Cam Irving, former Dallas Cowboy. Can he have a big day today?
Can he have a big day? I will be
Should
glad.
he have a big day?
I'll be glad to repeat this. Take him into deep waters. Take him into the fourth quarter. It ain't what we're going to do in the first half with these guys. They got smart coaches. They don't give up a lot of penalties. They don't have a lot of holding calls, face masks, offsides. You know, highest they've had is 69 yards and penalties, and most of that has come just, pre-snap reads. If these guys play the way they've been playing the previous 3 games, this game right here, the Cowboys have to be smart, and Gregory should take him into deep waters.
Cowboys defensive line for the second week in a row had a couple of sacks, and none of them yet from Randy Gregory, but he's been close on a couple of occasions. He'll get after it.
The holdings last week, man, that's the first sign when you can make dogs start holding you late in the game. Now the other coaches are telling him, Matt Rule is telling Cam Irvin, don't hold this guy. Now, if you don't hold him, then that's a hit on the quarterback. That's moving him off the spot. That's a sack. So you know what? Just stay calm, but play hard, play smart, and you can take this guy in the end.
Yeah, the Cowboys going to try and get after Sam Darnold today. They'll have to cover DJ Moore as well. Is he the biggest threat to the Cowboys' defensive momentum after this?
McCarthy talked to the team about not really getting too caught up in the routine, so to speak, and being able to handle success?
Yeah, 100%. He does tell us, we got to handle success and how to handle success. Can't get complacent, can't get, caught up in all, the hype with the media saying and things of that such. So, just got to stay focused. And
What challenge does DJ Moore pose this week?
he's a good receiver, quick, fast, strong. He's a good receiver.
There's so much talk on this team about the offense can be special, the defense can be good. So, do you sense that? I mean, you guys feel like that you guys are listening to that challenge a little bit before the season?
I feel like defense is playing really good right now. I feel like we're getting better as the weeks go on. We feel like we're getting better in practice every day. So, it's only going to make us better in the game. And, I do feel like, we're going in the right direction.
Do you feel like
We're getting you set for Carolina and Dallas, week 4 of the NFL season. And the Carolina Panthers, though they are undefeated, have been dealing with the loss of Christian McCaffrey. Their all-pro tailback unavailable after being injured in last week's matchup on Thursday Night Football against the Houston Texans. But they still present a couple different challenges. Isaiah is now joined by the great Britt Johnson for the first time today as they take a look at this passing game and what challenges they bring to the table.
Thanks so much, Kyle. Britt Johnson here with Isaiah Standback. Now, Isaiah, I think I can safely say this. I think Sam Darnold and Dak Prescott are like probably coming next to each other with comeback player of the year. Okay. Would you agree with that? Okay. They're pretty good. Well, let me tell you a little about Sam Darnold. Now, he, in his first 3 games, he has already increased his pass yards per game by 112, and he has also increased his passer rating by 26.3. A lot of this is due, Christian McCaffrey's amazing. He averages about 25 touches a game. We all know he is not going to be playing in this game. What does this look like for their pass game?
I think these boys, they're still versatile. They still have a lot of options. They have Trimble at tight end. They have DJ Moore. They have Robbie Anderson. Now, as you look at this offense, Robbie Anderson is their go guy. He's their go juice. He is the one that takes the top off the coverage. However, this man that you see on your screen right now, DJ Moore, is a complete problem. This dude right here, you can't give him space. He is one of the more shifty, precise route runners in the league. So he will take a 5-yard high precision pass and take that thing for 40 yards. So you can't give him space. But also, as you look at PFF grades, you can't press him either because he is leading the league. When you press him, he is leading the league in not only targets, but also receptions. So as we get ready for this game, in Diggs, he has his hands full because this dude is a complete problem.
Yes, and he, like you said, he is averaging 30% of their targets for that team. He will be going up against Diggs. What do you think that matchup's going to look like?
It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, Diggs is coming off of these first 3 games, getting a pick in every game. He is coming along as one of the league's best cornerbacks. But as I just mentioned, DJ, this boy is in his bag, and he is making plays. You can't give him space, and I'm looking forward to seeing their matchup and when he decides to press him because they're obviously going to try to take the top off from time to time. But what is Diggs going to be able to do against a receiver who is as shifty as him? I don't think he's faced anybody with these attributes yet this year.
Yes, 2 young superstars in the making. I got to ask you, he has had an interception in the last 3 games. Are we going to see Diggs get his 4th interception in this game?
I hope so. I want him to play some real sticky defense, stay in his hip pocket, and be ready when Sam Darnold decides to throw some of those 8 to 10-yard passes, grab you one, Diggs, and take that thing to the house.
Well, I got to ask you guys, fellas, do you guys think Diggs is going to get an interception in this game? I say yes. You say yes. What y'all think?
All right, Barry, what do you think? Pick or no pick for Trayvon Diggs?
I'm going to go pick.
Okay.
I'm always about them boys. Pick it up.
Why not? All 5 across the board. Trayvon Diggs is going to he'll be the 4th Cowboy, by the way, to have a 4-game interception streak in his career. So pretty impressive for the overall arching Trayvon Diggs and what he's done so far. All right. Let's take a look at Sam Darnold. This passing game, of course, does present a couple of problems. And Sam Darnold, former number 3 overall pick, once with the Jets, man, he had a fantastic game, 100-plus passer rating, 300-plus yards against Dallas in 2019, just one of 2 career games in which he has done that. What does he bring to the table, and how has he changed since his arrival in Carolina?
Look, I think it's night and day from his time with the Jets. And it's not really his physical traits out there. We all knew this guy had a strong arm. We all knew he was accurate. But I think the biggest difference from his time there is his decision making. All right, this guy has been great with the ball. He's not putting it in harm's way. He's been playing mistake-free football. And Nate, I think that's what's allowed this Carolina team to post this undefeated mark so far.
And he got just enough pocket presence to move around within the pocket to give his receivers a chance to get open. But you know what? I don't know about that harm's way, man, because that dude got a tendency not to cover that ball with 2 hands when he dropped back. So if we can tap them hands a little bit, we make him get something.
I mentioned the numbers for Sam Darnold and what he was able to do last time against the Cowboys while he was a part of New York. He had a receiver in that game go 5 receptions, 125 yards, and a touchdown. You know who that receiver was? Robbie Anderson. He's on the Carolina Panthers and a reunite with Sam Darnold. When we come back, we're just over 30 minutes till kickoff at AT&T Stadium. We'll wrap things up on the TV side and get you set for Cowboys and Panthers.
I see a very good front. They have a really good front. very, very athletic, penetrating D-line, linebackers that can run sideline to sideline. I mean, they do a really good job on early downs, getting other teams behind the chains. So, I mean, I think that's probably one of the main focal points for us this week is just making sure we stay ahead of the chains, making sure we're getting positive plays on first and second down to put us in good situations on third down.
They're also leading the league in sacks and quarterback hits. Are they getting that from the front, or are they sending extra people? What have you seen?
So I mean, you got they blitz a good amount. I wouldn't say it's a lot, or I wouldn't say it's a little. So they definitely bring some pressure, bring some blitzes. So they're getting pressure on the quarterback with the D line and the backers.
With that in mind, what they bring defensively, how much is your all confidence growing offensively that you can move the ball no matter what's happening on the other side?
I mean, it seems like each week we've had a little bit different of a game plan, and so I think we've showed that we can beat you through the air, we can beat you through the run, just depending on what you give us. So I think just our biggest strength is just our versatility. Our ability to spread the ball around, get a lot of guys involved, and yeah.
Cowboys Pregame Live was brought to you by AT&T, SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit swbcmortgage.com to find a pro today. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full and condensed game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl.
We are just over a half hour away from kickoff between the Cowboys and the Panthers. It's the 15th all-time meeting between these two NFC foes. And the Cowboys looking to continue their dominance throughout the first half of the season or the first 4 weeks of the season, I should say. Let me slow my boat a little bit in terms of the defense and what they've been able to do. They lead the NFL in takeaways. But if you want more coverage for the Panthers and Cowboys, we're done on the TV side of things. But tune in to DallasCowboys.com, the Cowboys Nap, and on Cowboys social media. We've got a one-on-one coming up with Stephen Jones. What did Carolina head coach Matt Rule say about Dak Prescott? And Britt Johnson will check in with Cowboys Nation. But until next time, for Barry, Isaiah, Nate, Britt, I'm Kyle Yeomans. Join us on DallasCowboys.com. And until then, enjoy the game.
Confidence defense, a defense that plays fast. They've got some great edge rushers and speed in the back end. And when you start off 3-0, there's a reason. I think they're a big part of that. So we know we've got a confident bunch coming in, and we've got to start fast and get on them early. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm never going to stop learning, never going to stop pushing myself. And I think the more reps on task, the better you get. And so, I mean, that's just another off-season in the books that I put in. And I was very intentional and purposeful with everything that I did. And, it's happening smoother.
Carolina. What's it like for you when you're leading the ball to guys like Cedric Wilson and Dalton Schultz, knowing that they haven't necessarily gotten some of those balls, and it feels like for the most part this offense has been fairly unselfish?
That's the biggest success in this offense is how unselfish all of us are, how unselfish everybody is, and how much it means that those guys are making the plays. But then you look and you see the way Coop celebrates when another guy gets a catch, or you see the blocking that those guys are doing for one another. As I've continued to say, we don't have an ego, and we don't have it individually, but we've allowed it to come together and to be one ego. One ego is this offense, and it's special. All those guys are special players, but they're special men with great attitude, and I think that's the underlying factor of all of this.
Carolina leads the NFL in sacks, and not only that, they've got more guys with at least one sack than any other team in the league. Does that make it more difficult for you to prepare for who might be coming from down to down, or How do you deal with that?
No, I mean, I go into this game trusting my offensive line, trusting all the blockers that we have that are going to be accounted. They're going to be asked to do that, and trust the preparation and the plan that we have going back to training camp, whether it's getting on the right page with just the communication and our protection. And I think if you watch a lot of the other games, nothing against this defense, they're great and they give a lot of different looks, but I don't know how much other guys have had planned for them. And so for us, it's just about just being tight on that and making sure we've got everybody accounted for pre-snap.
Little extra Cowboys pregame live here from the Star in Frisco in the Globe Life studios as we are now rejoined by Barry Church, Isaiah Stanback, Nate Newton. I'm Kyle Yeomans. And if this is your first time tuning in on the internet side of things of Cowboys pregame live, we consider you our friends. We consider this a partnership between the two because just like you, we are Cowboys fans as well, and we get you set for kickoff between the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. And no better place to start than talking about Dak Prescott. We haven't really had a chance to talk about him in the early parts of the show, but goodness, he is playing his best football. You just heard from him on the internet side of things, and Amari Cooper even said it this week. Dak is playing his best football. 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He currently leads the NFL in completion percentage, and he's top 10 in passer rating as well with a 110.7. Guys, how good has Dak Prescott looked to you through the first 3 games of the year?
Oh, man, he's looked unbelievable. I mean, everybody had their questions and concerns coming out of camp with that shoulder injury, coming back from that ankle injury, and he put all those to bed. At least for me, he has. I mean, that guy's looked accurate. He's looked like an extension of the coaching staff out there. He's cool, calm, and collected, and he looks like he's running this offense, putting him in the best position. This guy's playing extremely well.
Dak is balling. he's doing all the right things. When that you ask of a quarterback, to Barry's point, he's making good decisions. He's putting the team in successful positions in order to win ball games, and that's really all you ask. Big play here and there, show a little flash, a little razzle dazzle, but at the end of the day, just don't make big mistakes, and he hasn't done that this year.
He's been very consistent. The only thing he haven't done is answer that email on that loan I need, but hey, that's okay too. But everything else, he's the mechanic. He fixes whatever's wrong. He see who needs the ball. He see how to run the offense or the defense. Hey, versus the defense, he's doing a great job.
You got a sneak peek there of Stephen Jones. We'll hear from him coming up here in a little bit. But continuing with the Dak Prescott conversation, Matt Rule, head coach of the Panthers this week, comparing him to some pretty high competition. How about Drew Brees and Peyton Manning is what he was reminded of when watching Dak Prescott. That's high praise, but is that warranted from what you've seen from Dak so far?
When I first heard this, I was like, wait a second, you talking about Breeze right now? But then I took a deeper dive into it. And you know what? It's not as far-fetched as it seems, all right? When you look at Breeze's first 5 years in the league, touchdown to interceptions, 80 touchdowns, 43 interceptions. Dak Prescott, 106 touchdowns to 40 interceptions. The win-loss, 38 wins for Breeze, 42 losses for as well. Dak Prescott, 42 wins, 27 losses. So they're pretty similar in their first 5 years. And I think what Rule was getting at was the way they approach the game, the mental aspect, how they go out there leading their teams out to battle, how they're prepared for each and every game. They're kind of their extension of the coaching staff out there. So if you look at it in that regard, their NFL arcs pretty much similar.
I see it.
Yeah, I'm going to backdoor what you said, Barry. And when you think about that kind of company, I think of Commander-in-Chief. Right? He is a commander-in-chief of the Dallas Cowboys. When you think about Dallas Cowboys, you don't think of them aside from thinking about Dak Prescott. When he approaches this game, when he steps into the stadium, everybody gravitates towards him. You can feel the energy. You can feel the confidence. He is the leader of this team, and he is putting these guys in position to win ball games. That's what you want when you start talking about Drew Brees and Peyton Manning.
And you know what? He can touch every player. He understands whether you're on defense, offense, he can reach out and touch every player. We used to see Drew Brees rally his troops before a game. Dak got the same responsibility. He's got the same ability. So this thing is just bigger than stats. Now he's understanding it's more about the wins and losses, and now he's directing these guys to that too.
Just adding on to this, the comparison between the two, there's only been one player, the highest ever player in the NFL to miss 10 games the year prior and have up over a 105 passer rating. That was Peyton Manning back in 2012.
Wow.
He was comeback player of the year. He was a Pro Bowler, and he was a first-team All-Pro. And Dak Prescott has a higher passer rating so far through the first 3 games than Peyton Manning did that year. But a big credit to the success that Dak Prescott has had has come from Kellen Moore, the way that he's been able to orchestrate this offense. The coaching staff in general deserves a lot of credit, but is that where this is going to be won today between Carolina and Dallas? Is it going to be coaching staff or is it going to be personnel, Barry?
Look, I'm going to give them about 20% to the coaching staff. I mean, look, you gotta have guys out there to put you in the right position at the right place. But at the end of the day, this game is won and lost by players on the field. Those are the guys going out there executing the game plan. I don't care if you got Belichick. I don't care who you got.
Wow.
If you go out there and your cupboard's empty and you won't got players out there, then you're going to take the L. It's all about the players when you come to football.
I disagree, Barry. All right, listen here. You have some of the best coordinators in the league facing each other off right now. You got Joe Brady. You got Kellen Moore. You got Dan Quinn, and you have the #1 defense in the league with Phil Snow. Listen up. These guys are balling in the booths, okay? And yes, the players make the plays, but however, the players don't know what to do unless the coordinators throw the play out there. So it is going to be a battle of the coordinators. You'll see the guys on the field, but the real battle is going up in those booths.
I'm going 50-50. Because the head coaches, the head coach is going to play a big okay. Matt Rule is assembled a young staff. He's brought Snow with him from LSU. He's an old dog, and I mean Italian old dog. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
But you know what? He got Joe Brady, man. He went to LSU. He sees how this thing's transition now. So he's with these young kids. He's got the offense and defensive coordinators to put them in place. So, yes, players play, coaches coach, and you'll see both today.
Yeah, it's seconding what you said. I mean, Joe Brady coming from LSU, he was part of that national championship run with the Tigers, and then Phil Snow on the defensive side has been with Matt Rule since Temple and since his time at Baylor. Lots of continuity around that coaching staff in Carolina. Let's go back to Britt Johnson as she checks in again with Cowboys Nation. That's a little overexcited for the Cowboys and the Panthers today.
Thanks so much, Kyle. We are back here at the big screen to go over some tweets that you guys posted this week. This one is actual footage of me pretty much of what I was experiencing this week. This person said, when I saw a Dallas Cowboys player win Defensive Player of the Month, Trayvon Diggs won for the month of September. He's actually the 3rd Cowboy to do so, and it is amazing. We are excited. He has 3 picks right now. Looking for number 4 this week, looking for number 4. Ashley Sanchez wrote, Penelope is ready for kickoff. She has a little onesie on that says, baby got Dak. I think I'm going to get that from my niece. This is super, super sweet here. And then last but not least, so we just move in and you already know, first things first, they got their Dallas Cowboys flag ready to go. I'm sure all of you guys are tailgating and having a good time today. It is almost game time. Back to you guys.
Everybody out there tailgating should have Cowboys pregame live.
You got to.
I didn't have to there. Got to have Barry and Isaiah and Nate and Britt, of course, getting you ready for kickoff. Now, another thing Cowboys Nation is excited about is seeing how these running backs have their encore. 2 straight weeks of 160-plus rushing yards. Isaiah, can they continue that momentum against a really tough Carolina defense?
I think we can, but it's all in our approach. Listen up, the Carolina defense, we've already talked about it in the pregame show. These boys are aggressive. They're smaller, they're undersized guys, but they fly, and they make up for that by flying around and hitting you, okay? So what's it going to come down to? It's going to come down to who wants to instill their will more, right? So obviously we have bigger guys, but they have high intensity, right? So are we going to meet that intensity level? Whoever wins that battle is going to win the battle up front.
Slam into him. This is where Zeke, fine wine, overtime, will always taste great. Slam into him with Zeke, then all of a sudden just touch him up with Pollard. Come on now, Trey.
Hey, I'm with y'all on this one. I'm with y'all. It's going to be a tough sledding out there, but we got the bigger guys. We got the offensive line out there to do it. Let's pound them with Zeke.
Yeah, you're going to see that 1-2 punch, I think, throughout the year, especially with a longer season. And Coach Mike McCarthy's talked about this as well. Having 2 backs like that is going to be a huge positive for the Cowboys as this longer season does go along. All right, let's go back out to AT&T Stadium with our very own Nick Eatman, who caught up with Stephen Jones.
Thanks so much, Kyle. As you said, here with Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. And Stephen, just a few days ago, it felt like we were here. The house was rocking. How big is it? How important is it going to be for your home crowd to kind of have that same atmosphere? This is another big challenge.
They're such a huge help. I mean, they just we've got great fans, and they've really endeared themselves to AT&T Stadium and our football team. And we're playing a really good football team today in the Carolina Panthers. And they'll come out and make the kind of noise and ruckusness that they did last week. It's going to be a huge help, especially for our defensive side of the ball. When they have the ball, can make a huge difference for us.
I know you guys took a pretty good look at Matt Rule at one point when he was at Baylor and moving to Carolina. What kind of coach is he? What kind of team do you think he brings to this game?
Well, I think he's got a very disciplined football team. He brought his coordinator from Baylor along with him. He's coached a lot of college football, some pro. But what he's doing scheme-wise over there is a challenge for us. So hats off to him there. And then, of course, they've got Sam Darnold back playing like the first pick in the draft. So, like I said, we've got our hands full today.
Might be a little bit of a break. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the NFL, one of the best players, not in this game. You feel like they got a lot of weapons, a lot of speed on that side that can still hurt you if you're not ready for it.
Absolutely. They've got a back from Oklahoma State there that had a great year a couple years ago and a little off last year, but he's playing like he did a couple years ago. So, it looked like they didn't miss McCaffrey much last week. So, they just do a good job. And, of course, Coach Rule's a very disciplined coach. They're a disciplined football team. We're going to have to play well to get a W today.
One more. Obviously, they're coming off about a 10-day rest. This is a short week for you. But is there something to be said for keeping the momentum going, keeping it rolling? No big injuries really from the last game, so come out here and keep this thing going.
Well, Coach McCarthy does a great job of taking care of these guys in terms of their week. And he got them good and got their legs back up under them. And I do think having the momentum and having that cadence and that rhythm to what we're doing can be a big plus for us today.
All right. Thank you so much, Stephen. We appreciate that. Stephen Jones, Cowboys Chief Operating Officer. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Nick. And you heard it there from Stephen Jones, the fact that, hey, he knows the Cowboys have to play a really solid game, fundamentally sound, all the way through to beat this 3-0 Carolina team. But I want to hear your keys to the game. How did the Cowboys come out of this one 3-1 and force the Panthers into 3-1?
My key to this game resides on the defensive side of the ball. We got to continue to find ways to take this ball away. I think that's been the difference in these first couple of weeks. We've been able to take away in the red zone, kind of did that bend but don't break type of defense. But if we can get a takeaway from this team, I'm sure we'll be able to come away with the victory.
8 takeaways through the first 3 games of the year, tops in the NFL.
Listen up. This is going to be a highly competitive game. So, coordinators, don't take this game away from the players. Please don't get overzealous. Please don't get too aggressive and do something outside the ordinary that puts us in a bad position. Give us a chance.
Derek Brown, DeQuan Jones. Those are the 2 bears in the middle. They are Kodiak bears. They're grizzlies. They can run and they can eat. Kodak. I need for my center and my left guard to have the games of their lives early in this season.
Sounded like Mountain Man Nate coming out there a little bit with the bear reference. I mean, goodness gracious. And Derek Brown, a top 10 pick a year ago out of Auburn. Goodness, he's going to get after it. A couple guys missing on that Carolina defense, but still a very nasty front that leads the NFL in yards allowed, rushing yards allowed, passing yards allowed, and in sacks. But it's going to be a fun one. Noon kickoff on Fox. It'll be Kevin Burkhardt and former Panther Greg Olsen on the call from AT&T Stadium. That does it for us on Cowboys Pregame Live. For Nate Newton, Isaiah Stanback, Barry Church, Britt Johnson, and Nick Eatman, I'm Kyle Yeoman saying so long. Enjoy the game, everybody.
Hey, man, good one, man.